Thank you everyone for joining today. We will be starting here shortly. Hello, Scotty. Scotty, is your middle name needs to be changed to like Rockstar or something like that. I was thinking about that this morning. Once again, I appreciate everyone joining today. We're just getting everything set up and ready to go here in a couple minutes, and I appreciate your patience. So Scotty, I don't know if your audio was set up yet or not, but I said you need to change your middle name to Rockstar. I was really proud of myself. So.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
You hadn't responded to anything I had said, so I wasn't sure if you could hear me.
Well, I saw your little microphone thing come up and that you were good to go. So yeah,
okay.
I was just making an assumption there. So.
Okay. So what happens at this point? I don't know what to do. I mean, I've got my stuff up, but.
So you would I'll do an introduction here in one more minute, folks. So please be patient. And then you can just share your screen and you can control and go through that. And I'll handle questions for you.
Okay.
That come through the chat and well, not the chat, but the Q&A section. So.
Okay.
And I'll try not to talk too much because you know how much I like to talk. So I'm just making a commitment to the group right now that I'm not gonna be overly talkative. So. And that's probably a little bit of a lie, just to be honest. So. All right. Well, it is 12 o'clock. I'm going to give one more minute. I still see people popping on the popping onto the call today. So I give another minute or so, and then I'll kind of do a little introduction and we'll get the show moving. So Scotty, I have an affinity for the Josephine because first was a Josephine that started the craftsman movement that we have, and you know, and it was up near kind of near Sandpoint, but beautiful home, and got like it's just such a neat, you know, I love the layout of this one, so I'm excited to see this plan that you put together with your customer today.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a lovely one. I've actually have 2 or 3 customers working on this exact home right now as we speak. So it's a popular floor plan.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, it's kind of we've got past our we've slowed down as far as people joining up today. So welcome everyone to this virtual open house by Adair Homes. My name's John Adler, and I'm a part of the sales team at Adair Homes. With me today is Scotty Stevens, who is a homeownership counselor at Adair Homes. And she is the person at Adair that worked with this customer to design and develop this plan and work through the changes that they want to make. Scotty's going to take us through, the concept plan that she worked with the customer creating, and then she's going to lead us through a video walkthrough that we took of this home. As you might notice that the chat feature is turned off down below. It tends to get a little cluttered for us. So when you have questions, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. We'll stop periodically to answer questions, talk about the plans, the video, and with that, let's kind of get the ball rolling. And Scotty, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this plan came to be for this customer?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Scotty, and it's great to be here today. This is actually my very first virtual open house tour, so bear with me if I fumble a bit. I've seen a couple of these videos, but I'm excited to do this today. So this couple here has 2 young children. He is active military at our Air Force Base, and so he wanted to be able to buy a home that was really close to the Air Force Base, but wasn't military housing. A house that the 2 kids could grow up in, and one that they could actually keep and live in well until their retirement years. So for them, this was their forever home. So they wanted something that would work now and later on in the future. So you see, it is just a 1-story home. It has a wonderful covered patio in the back. One of the things that was super important to them was to have essentially 2 living rooms. And so you'll see in the lower left-hand corner, on our standard plan, that room is called a den. They expanded this room by a good 4 feet, if not a little further, to make it into a second living room. And that's really popular even right now, just because of COVID and people have been confined to their homes in a lot of cases, wanting to have 2 distinct living spaces. We all love each other, but we also sometimes need a little break. And she did some really neat customization here and there. So when we get to the video, I'll be sure to point those out. What I just want to do is let you take a look at this, see the lay of the land. This is the drawing of the home. That's the top picture is obviously looking at it from the front as if you were pulling into your home. The next picture is from one of the sides. This over here is the covered patio that's built into the home with a nice big gable, which you're going to see here, right here. They've vaulted it, so they have kind of a nice big grand covered patio to spend lots of summers. Now they built this home on 5 acres and they're looking out to the west. And so they're gonna have some amazing sunsets sitting on that back covered patio.
Hey, Scotty, let me jump in. So when you look at that front elevation picture, if you could scroll back down just a little bit and look at that front elevation picture. So that's what that looks like from the outside with the enlarged living space, right?
Yes.
So that would include, so really it actually didn't change a lot on the front of the home from the standard home. So that's
it doesn't, cool, because this space is already sticking out from the home. It's already there. They just brought it out a little bit further. So when you see it in person, it just feels a little more 3D, more dynamic. On a piece of paper, it's a little harder to see.
And then I also noticed that they did a 9-foot plate height. So they raised the ceilings from a standard 8-foot to a 9-foot plate height. And one of the things that I think would be really good to know here is just the fact that the windows get taller too. Otherwise, it kind of looks.
A lot of things happen with that 9-foot ceiling height. You get, obviously the 9-foot ceiling height. All of your windows are a foot taller. That also translates to your garage being a foot taller, so that affords a taller garage door for your big trucks that are real common over here in Spokane and Idaho. And then your upper wall cabinets too get extended by another 6 inches taller. So it's a lovely feature that encompasses a number of features.
Oh, that's cool. All right, before we kind of move up or move on to the next part of this, I just want to let everyone know that the Q question and answer section is down at the bottom. So as you go through and questions pop up, don't hesitate, throw those questions down below, and we will answer them as we move through as best we can. All right, Scotty, back to you.
All right. Well, does it make sense at this point to go through the video then, do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, great. I think I'll cut the music just so we can talk our way through it. Now, I'm going to pause it right there. So we just walked into the entryway. So off to the right is the dining area, and then further forward is the great room and kitchen. Now, the neat thing about this dining area is you can leave it like they've done it here with some partial walls to kind of set it apart, but yet leave it open. I've had other customers completely remove those walls. This little L-shaped wall here, it's not structural. And this little wing wall to make it completely open. Others have closed this in for an office. So there's tons of features you can do here.
Hey, Scotty, I got a couple questions already, and one of them is related to the outside. So could we back it up just a little bit? So Chris had a question, and this is a question that actually we see a lot more, especially this last year, related to windows and exterior windows. So the question that Chris had was, do you have a window upgrade option that allows for dark window frames?
We do. If he means black window frames, we do have that as an available option.
Okay.
We also offer almond. We also offer almond as well. So we have white as standard, and then almond and black are two available upgrades.
Oh, that's cool. And then we talked about that this was a 9-foot plate height. Steve had a great question. Have any of your clients ever raised their ceilings to be 10 feet tall? Did it cause any unique challenges?
Yeah, that's absolutely something we can do. And the only unique challenge is budget. Just try to add a little humor. Yeah, of course we can do it. It does come with a cost associated. But your windows would probably be limited in some cases. We have a certain window height before it becomes a little problematic. But as far as just raising to 10-foot ceilings, absolutely, let's do it.
Awesome. Hey, Chris, Steve, thanks for the question. All right, back to you, Scotty.
All right, cool. Well, let's cruise on inside.
I would also like to point out we build in the wintertime as noticed by the snow.
Yeah. We don't stop. What she's going to do here is she's going to turn, this is a half bath right off the entry. And then she's going to turn into that expanded den that they called a living room that they made larger. Now that window right there is, if I remember correctly, it's 5 feet across and 6 feet tall. You'll see those are our standard interior doors, nice 6-panel door. And then in our half baths, typically you're going to see a pedestal sink here. Now a pedestal sink is a freestanding ceramic or porcelain looking sink. They added some cabinets in here. She wanted a little extra storage and a little bit more of a formal half bath. The mirror she also selected. We do provide mirrors. Ours are, to be honest, a little boring. So she provided her own mirrors in this case.
So, hey, Scotty, can we pause it for a minute and answer a couple questions?
I'd love to.
So I thought, so I looked at the plan maybe wrong. I thought it was a vaulted ceiling, but this isn't a vaulted ceiling, correct?
Yeah, they just did a 9-foot ceiling height and left it flat. They did not vault the inside. They did a vaulted covered patio. Maybe that's what you heard, but they didn't do a vault inside.
Yeah, I just, it's common for people when they vault the patio cover to vault the ceiling too. And so I might have been making assumptions, so shame on me. But Sharon did have a question. Can this be a vaulted ceiling in the main part of the home? And Sharon, absolutely. And in fact, we've had customers that we would do what we would call a reverse vault. So you can have the vault line go front to back or from left to right. And it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish with your vision. So that is definitely something we can do. Ryan had a question related to, is the foundation a slab or a crawl space? To meet energy code in Washington, we kind of have to do a crawl space. And for most places, a crawl space makes sense to do. It makes more sense. You can get better insulation, It's a little bit more friendly to the soil, the flexibility of the earth, so to speak. So that's definitely, in other places, the slab makes more sense, and we can do that too. So thanks, Ryan. Arlene, you'd asked, can crown molding be installed at the time of the building? And that is definitely something that we can do during building, or I know of actually a few customers that have done it after after the building and came in and did it themselves just to save some money. So you have options there, which is kind of what we try to do, is create options for all of our customers, not force you into a specific mold. Dave had a question related, do they do a coffered ceiling treatment? And that one I don't know. So Scotty, do you know the answer to the coffered ceiling treatment?
Well, honestly, I'd want to see a picture of what it is he'd like to do. I know we can do tray ceilings, and so if you're looking for some kind of treatment that adheres to a ceiling, I don't see why not. I just need to have a really good idea of what it is you want to accomplish. That's part of our initial meeting and design team here, is we just sit down with you and figure out what it is you want and how we can best accomplish it. I've seen very little that we can't do, so my bet is yes, but I just haven't had anybody ask me that yet.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, Scotty, on that one. It's that there's not much we can't do. This is why having in-person appointments is really important. And we have a lot of discussions as we go through. We'll have a lot of discussions as we go through the process with our customers to make sure that we're all on the same page and understand what you're trying to accomplish here. So Dave, I hope we answered that question for you. If not, I would encourage you to reach out to a local Adair person to have that conversation. So Scotty, do you want to answer a few more questions, or do you, they're a little bit piling up here. So you want to answer a few more questions, or you want to walk through?
If people have questions, let's do it.
All right. So next one is from Kim and Mark Halverson. With a 10-foot ceiling height, can you get 8-foot tall interior doors to go with that?
Yes. That's easy enough.
And that, yeah, I actually did that. I did an option today, worked on a customer's option today where we did a 10-foot plate height, 8-foot exterior and interior doors. So those are some tall doors when you get to there. It's pretty cool. I love it. Michael has a question. Can you add a basement as an option?
Yes, we can. We can do daylight basements, which are ones that have sliding glass doors and windows, or else you can do a full basement. We treat a basement a lot kind of like a custom home. So we sit down with you, figure out your intended use for that basement, how you're going to use it. You and I draw it up. I give you an estimation for what that's going to cost. But absolutely, we can do basements.
All righty. Elena had a great question. Can an attic be added with an access for the buyer to finish for storage?
Yes and no. It kind of depends on what kind of storage you need. So we can do bonus storage trusses above a garage. With today's energy codes, there's 3, 4, 5 feet of insulation in the ceilings nowadays. So it's oftentimes a little troublesome to have an attic like grandma used to have that you can go up and store all sorts of cool knickknacks and things like that. But above a garage, I can do bonus trusses, or you and I could come up with a custom solution for you if that doesn't work.
Yeah, and that goes back to, there's always a solution. We just have to figure out what it is and what it costs. And the way the process works is we can figure all that stuff out ahead of time versus, later on down the road when it becomes maybe a surprise and an unwanted surprise at that point. So let's figure it out ahead of time. Estera had a question. Can you add your own flooring?
Common question. We get it a lot. And I understand why you'd want to do that. Sometimes you have a family member that does flooring, or you found something on sale that you want to put in. And unfortunately with Adair, that's not something we typically allow. And here's why. The building process and the timeline is complicated. We schedule everything way out ahead of time so that we can build your home as quickly as possible. And I know it was Sarah, correct? Her name is
Sarah. Yeah.
Sarah, I know this probably wouldn't be you, but we've had customers in the past when we've tried to do this that didn't buy enough floor, bought flooring that was too tall, broke their arm and then couldn't install it. And then what happens is it increases our build time by 4 or 5 months, because now we have to reschedule absolutely everything around the flooring. So typically, no. If you do want to put in your own flooring after you move in, I can set you up for success by working with you to put in our base flooring, and so that you can put your own flooring in later on.
Awesome. Love that. Sia has a question. Is it possible to have questions after we've seen the complete video? Sia, yes, the video is really only about 7 minutes, and we'll probably be going back and forth in the video and maybe back to the concept plan based on questions. And so we will, but we don't want to get too far behind on our questions. We want to make sure we keep up with where we're at in the video at this time. Henrietta, is it possible to add a daylight basement? And absolutely, that question might have been asked already, and totally, we can totally do a basement for you. Basements, tend to be model specific, land specific, and so we have a process to go through that to make sure we get it right the first time. All right. Steve has a question. Many or most of your plans allow or show sliding glass doors. Have you ever customized to use sliding wall panels or French doors for the exterior access? Scotty.
All right. So yes, French doors, atrium doors. We have a 4-panel sliding glass door that we use a lot. What you want to keep in mind with us is, while we are typically fully customizable and a custom home builder, we are still an affordable custom home builder. So I've seen some really awesome, tricky trapezoid folding doors that disappear into walls. You're starting to look at a $300 a square foot builder when you start looking at those features, just because that's some really crazy whiz bang. It's awesome and lovely, but it's kind of out of the reach of more of our target market, which is those looking for a more affordable way to get the home you want. But I can completely customize to a 12-foot sliding glass door if that works for you, adding in atrium doors or French doors.
Awesome. So Elena has another question for us. Is it possible to widen the garage slightly and make a two-car garage as 2 separate doors instead of 1 door? A lot of newer homes I've seen had 2-car garages with a single door, but it's a tight squeeze apart to its sides. So in other words, can we take a 2-car garage with 1 door and maybe widen it a little bit and get 2 individual doors in there? Is that something we can do?
Yeah, that's really actually easy peasy. Yeah, we can do that all day long.
I like the easy ones. Those are the funnest.
Yeah, expanding a garage is super easy and affordable way to get some good storage space. So somebody had asked about bonus storage trusses. It's almost sometimes more affordable to expand your garage and create more storage in there.
Okay. Steve has a question. Can floor coverings be omitted entirely for the home providing an exposed concrete floor?
Not with Adair. So since we deliver a finished product and we warranty your home, we have to provide you with a finished product to warranty. Also, our subfloors, since we're crawl spaces, our subfloors are not concrete. That would be a slab foundation where you would have concrete for flooring.
Okay. Chris has actually a really great question. Do you offer real hardwood? Do you offer a real hardwood floor option?
We offer an engineered hardwood floor. So if you're looking for the type of floor that you can refinish and stain over the years, that is not one that we offer. We do offer an engineered wood floor. My brother actually has it in his house, and it's quite amazing. I certainly don't want to talk you out of what you want, but the engineered wood floors stand up to puppies and kids very, very well. And it's not something you need to refinish over the years. But if you're looking for a true hardwood floor, unfortunately, that's not something Adair currently offers.
Awesome. And I would point out, I would maybe add a little bit to that, in that, hardwood floors, there's some long-term warranty issues that we feel a little concerned about when it comes to swelling and, movement of the wood, things like that, whereas engineered woods don't have that challenge. So Elena's got a kind of an interesting question. How much per square foot does it typically cost to upgrade the pad underneath?
To upgrade the pad underneath.
And but we don't really do it as a per square foot thing. We do it per home floor
Oh, do you
plan,
mean
right?
the carpet? She must mean the carpet
The carpet pad.
Yeah, so we do that. Yeah, it's basically anywhere from $400 to about $800 to upgrade the carpet pad in your home. We have two choices. You can go to an 8-pound pad, or you can go to the spill blocker. The spill blocker is just like it sounds. It prevents any water, animals, kids from getting down to your subfloor. It does cost a little bit more. So in that case, the spill blocker probably starts about $600 and goes up to about $1,300 for most homes.
Okay, awesome. Steve has a question. You do slab floors in AZ. We'll work directly with our consultant. Yeah, and Steve, that is true. In Arizona, we do slab floors because in that part of the country, it does make more sense. In the Pacific Northwest, we do crawl spaces because it makes more sense there.
Thanks for clarifying that, Steve. That I appreciate that. I kind of forget about Arizona, so thank you.
Yeah, we you know, it's busy enough up in the Northwest. We tend to forget that there's other parts of the world out there. So I apologize, Steve. So, Arlene has a question. How does it work if there isn't natural gas available to the property? Is propane an option?
Oh, absolutely. Propane's a wonderful option. What's great is I've also used it myself. I've heated my home, my hot water and fireplaces with it. So I can coach you as to how it can benefit you, what it costs, how it works. But yes, it's absolutely an option.
Okay. And then, okay, so maybe I'm going to ask 3 more questions, and then let's move on and watch some more video. So Arlene has 2 of them. Actually, we already did the propane. So I only have 1 more for Arlene. Can all utilities be brought in underground, or do they need to use poles and bring them in overhead?
Oh, underground is a lovely way to go. Absolutely. That's how most of my customers actually go. The only time you're really going to go overhead is if you have a long distance to span, or you've got to go over a road or some kind of other obstacle, river perhaps. But for the most part, you're going to bring them in underground.
Okay.
If that's what suits you. Again, it's your land, it's up to you. So that's what you and I sit down and figure out. We'll do a site visit with you. And does it make sense to have the utilities underground, or does it make sense to have them above ground?
Awesome. All right. Well, and then the last question before we move on to the video is from, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but Tao. And if I'm not, just forgive me. I'm not the best with names. But can you add heated floors in bathrooms?
Oh, absolutely. So we do that. It's an electric pad or electric wires under the floor, and then you'll need to have tile above it for the best durability, conductivity, etc. So yes, it is an option. A rough number, you're probably looking around $5,000–6,000 per bathroom to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's watch a little more video. I mean, I noticed that we're going through the kitchen and.
So these are standard windows. They're just going to be a foot taller or a foot shorter if you were to do the other height. It looks like she's going to take us into the master now. On your left is a nice big storage or linen closet coming into the master. Now this master is kind of giant. It's 17 feet deep and 15 feet across. You can add additional windows on the left here if you wanted to. Just kind of depends on your taste, your privacy level, your view, that sort of thing. And then we're going to spin around here. Pardon the paint supplies. They were doing some touch-up painting the day we wanted to video. She added her own barn door. I'm not going to sell you a barn door, but if you want to do a barn door, I'll set you up for success so you can choose your own barn door. On the right, you're going to see our standard soaker tub, and on the left are the 2 sinks in the vanity. She did some quartz for her countertops there. There's the nice big soaker tub. Those blue tapes are just little spots that our technician needs to come in and clean and repair. And then here's a lovely tile shower. You get to pick your floor tiles, your wall tiles, deco liners, soap niches, You can do them with sliding glass doors, without. You can do them with wing walls, so you don't need a shower door. Kind of, you bring me a picture, I can make you a shower.
What a beautiful view out that master bed.
Oh, it is a beautiful, it's such a nice home. It's such a lovely location, as long as you like the sound of airplanes. And in the master here, you all see those two double doors coming in. If you're looking at the trim at all, they did the Craftsman base trim, which is a slight upgrade from our standard base trim. And instead of full wrapped or drywall windows, they just put window sills in. So again, we're highly customizable to your needs and your budget.
Hey, Scotty, did they do rounded corners on the drywall?
They did. And the other thing they rounded, as you can probably see from this picture, is they rounded their island. Now that island is normally pointed, so it looks more like kind of like a big triangle, but they rounded it. We're going to get some better footage of it, I think, here in a minute. Over on the far left, those gray cabinets on the floor, that's a nook space that you can completely customize to your needs. You can leave it open for and put a hutch that's been handed down from family member to family member, or you can put upper cabinets, lower cabinets, make it a coffee bar, wine bar, a home office. And here's another shot of that island that I was telling you about. So I'm just going to pause here real
on this
quick.
One? And they did quartz here, is that right?
They did two quartz. So on the island is one quartz. It's called Mercer. It's got some lovely gray veins through it. And then on the wall side, on the wall cabinets, she did the Specchio white and then the white gloss backsplash in a herringbone pattern. And then, so she also mixed up her cabinets too. So 2 different cabinets and 2 different countertops. She had a really nice vision of what she wanted, and it really came together well. So you can see the 2 different countertop colors there.
I'm kind of stuck on that herringbone pattern.
That's pretty. It really is. Right there on your right is a pantry cabinet. Has a whole bunch of shelves in it. Now we're heading down the hallway. Your utility room is going to be on our right-hand side, a full bath on the left-hand side, and the 2 bedrooms at the end. Let's see where she takes us first. So on the floor here, we have our standard rolled vinyl flooring. It's not your grandma's vinyl or linoleum. They've come a long ways. It looks just fabulous. Again, she did the quartz in here and the naughty alder tobacco stained cabinets. And then swinging over to the utility room, you're going to love this. She put in this really fun patterned rolled vinyl in this room too.
It's a big utility room.
Yeah, big utility room there. Yeah, you just don't see the washer and dryer. They haven't put those in yet. And then here are the 2 bedrooms. They both have very generous closets. This one has a very deep closet. It's a little less wide, but it's very deep. The other closet has a very wide closet, a little less deep, but standard depth, but very, very wide. And then a linen closet here as well.
And this is another bedroom, right?
Yep, that's bedroom 2 and 3 that we just looked at. And then we're going to come back into the great room. Oh, now we're showing this from the back. I'll just pause it here just briefly. This is the rear elevation. They added that vaulted patio. Now earlier, John had mentioned something called a reverse vault. Now, if you reverse vault, if you look under that patio, you'll see where the ceiling meets up above those windows. You can fill that full of windows and vault the house that way. So if you have a really, really nice view, you can do that reverse vault, which gets you a whole bunch of windows on that back wall. And with the vault combined with a vaulted patio, it's really, really spectacular. And then just a quick view of their backyard.
What? I can't imagine. It's so hard to live in some place like that, you know.
I know, it's a terrible shame, isn't it? It's a terrible shame. In case anybody's wondering, I haven't mentioned yet, this is called the signature exterior. You'll notice most of our home plans have quite a few different exteriors, from classic, farmhouse. So this one was the signature. It has quite a bit of decorative detail. But if you'd like to learn more, you can certainly go to our website and click on those different pictures. And then if you pay attention, you'll see them, but it really takes meeting with one of us to kind of go through that in great detail with you.
All
Do
right.
we have any other questions, John?
Oh my gosh, yes, we do. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to make it through the video though, because we were almost through anyway. But you know, one question that I want to ask that I'm surprised didn't come up yet is about the windows. On the windows, the normal trim is the drywall wrapped window, but here they actually added a sill and apron too. It looks like.
Yes, yes, they did. They just did window sills. They didn't fully wrap. Again, they had certain things they wanted to spend their money on, and they just didn't quite want to spend the money on the fully wrapped windows, so they just stuck with window sills.
Okay, but so we can do the fully wrapped windows.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And yeah, and I'm biased. They're pretty. So.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Absolutely.
All right. So Ryan has a great question here. Is the heating system a heat pump or furnace?
So it's a furnace, and then we have a heat pump for your air conditioning unit. So heating and air conditioning is included standard in all our homes. In most locations, you have a choice between electric, propane, and natural gas, but that's going to vary from state to state and area to area.
Yeah. So like in Washington, the standard HVAC system is an electric heat pump system. Thanks to new energy code rules, that have been, well, we'll just leave it there. New energy code rules that Washington has enacted. So like in Washington, we only do the heat pump electric, but we can't do a gas assisted electric heat pump HVAC system too. So I'm just throwing a little shade towards Washington. Elena has what? So this will be a bigger question, Scotty. So Elena, I don't know we're going to be able to answer everything, but we'll do our best. So what are the most difficult upgrades to do after the build, and are most worth spending money on during the build? So like, in other words, it's not uncommon for customers to reach, during the design phase to get to where they want the house, and it's over their budget, and they need to maybe start doing some compromising. And so what features are easy to upgrade later on and which ones aren't?
So that's a great question, and I love that you brought it up. So typically what I do is most of my customers realize that structurally it's very hard to change anything structurally later. So something like that reverse vault or vaulting, 9-foot ceilings, adding windows, expanding the garage, adding space to a master suite, anything that's structurally oriented is something that I would definitely recommend putting at the top of your budget, because that's really hard to do later. Later on, you can always upgrade your countertops. You can always upgrade your floor coverings. Cabinets is a little bit of a bigger monster. Certainly you could do it later on if you like, but that's another place that I'd suggest spending more money on, so that our cabinets will last a very long time. So I would recommend that is something that you choose to do up front rather than later on. But things like appliances, countertops, floor coverings, light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, doorknobs, interior doors, even your exterior, like your front entry door, you can always upgrade those things later on. But structurally, that's really where I recommend you spend the money.
Well, speaking of structural items, can you get an RV garage addition? Can we, or I guess the better way, can we add an RV garage to it?
Yes, we can. Absolutely. Yes, we can. You just let me know how tall, how wide, how deep, how tall your garage door needs to be. And I'll work together with you to figure out how that's going to fit onto the home the best and what it's going to cost.
Yeah, great question, Sharon. Thank you for asking that. Michael has a question. Can you supply your own appliances, or can we go? Or I don't want to say, can you supply your own? I'm assuming, can the customer supply their own appliances, or do we have high-end appliance options that we offer our customers?
Yes, 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 and yes. So yes. So I have a standard appliance package and I have several layers of upgrades from there. But I'm also not going to make you take our appliances and shove them down your throat. You're more than welcome to supply your own appliances. Now, if you have something very in particular in mind that I need to know that ahead of time. So I had one gal that designed her kitchen around a 5-foot wide refrigerator. I had another gal that designed her kitchen around a 6-foot wide oven combination thingy. So that's going to require us to redesign your cabinets and things like that, which is just fine. But I need to know that ahead of time. So if that's something that's super important to you, absolutely 100%. But let me know, or let your HOC, your home ownership counselor, know, so that they can help you build the cabinets around the appliances that you want to supply.
Yeah, you don't want a 30-inch space for a normal range oven and then try to slide in a 36-inch wide, range oven combo that's beautiful but won't fit because the square peg and the round hole doesn't work when it comes to cabinets and appliances. So. Ryan has a great question. Can you switch to a tankless water heater?
In certain locations, yes. Washington State, not so much anymore, but Idaho, absolutely. At least for our area. I'm not sure about Oregon. I'm not, I don't work there, but Washington, not so much. Idaho, absolutely.
Awesome. So Steve has actually, this is a great question, Steve. Thanks. Could that vaulted patio just have exposed beams at the top? Like, what are the things that we can do differently with our patio covers?
So yeah, that would be something like a craftsman patio cover or a timber frame covered patio. So again, the options are pretty unlimited for the most part with us. So again, I ask for pictures because your definition of timber frame might be different from my definition of timber frame. So Pinterest is a great source, or a picture of a friend's patio that you love, but absolutely we can do that. Whether you want 8x8 rough sawn cedar posts, or whether you have something else in mind, we can absolutely customize it.
There's some pretty neat things, yeah, when it comes to patio covers that I've seen people do. So, Esther has a question related to our window. We talked about the window trims, sills, fully wrapped windows. So if someone's thinking about doing fully wrapped windows, what are the costs associated with doing fully wrapped windows in a home?
So I can speak to our branch and our location because our pricing's a little different from area to area, but fully wrapped windows in a home, say this size, is going to run you about $4,000. Somewhere around in there. We have a couple different levels. We have colonial, we have craftsman, we have architectural, and all those look differently and all have different costs. So somewhere probably between 3,000 and 4,000 is about where you'd land. And that would be for a paint grade trim. That means a trim that's ready to be painted. If you wanted to go above and beyond that to something like a stainable wood trim, then you're talking almost double digits in terms of a full interior trim package and fully wrapped windows for a wood stainable, for a stainable type of trim. Hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah. That's one of the tougher kinds of questions for us to answer during these calls, because every branch, and there's 20 branches of Adair Homes now, and in every state, there's different rules that apply and different costs that apply, and so that would be a great reason to reach out to your local office and have the kind of maybe start that discussion with the local homeownership counselor to maybe figure out you get better answers to your questions, more specific in that case. Arlene has a question that I think is kind of interesting. So thank you, Arlene. Can you obtain site maps of current property before purchasing? Are there any specific questions you would want to ask the building department, as well? So Scotty, would you like to take that one on?
Oh, I love this question. That is so great. Thanks for asking. Absolutely. So as soon as you identify a piece of land, we actually have a list of questions to give to you to go to your permitting authority to ask. You're going to want to know about easements, wetlands, setbacks, snow load, frost depth, wind speed. Is there an ancient alien burial ground here? All sorts of questions to ask the permitting department. So yes, absolutely. You can get a plat map from either your realtor, from the title company, pretty darn easy. Sometimes the seller has them readily available. So that's something I often get for my customers, put all that together before a site visit. Then we meet them on site with a site visit after they've had those questions answered. And that makes the best use of our time helping you research the land.
Wow, love it. You know, and just maybe add on to that a little bit. One of the things that I hear a lot about customers that have built other homes in the past, worked with other builders, is that the amount of pre-work we put into our process, the amount of planning we do ahead of time, because there are a lot of questions that you can't figure out ahead of time. It's worth the investment in time versus figuring it out answers later on, like, oh, by the way, this snow load was not what we thought it was. And that could be an expensive change down the road. So doing your pre-work ahead of time, and the way our process is set up is we want to get those questions answered earlier so that we can factor those in. And it doesn't usually stop us from moving forward, but it does allow us to spend, it keeps expenses from increasing later on, which is always nice. So thank you, Arlene. Really appreciate the question. Ryan had a question. What is the cost to make ceilings 9 foot? Again, it's a little bit of a specific question, you know, depending on the area and stuff like that. But Scotty, kind of rough idea as far as when we're looking at 9 foot ceilings, are we talking like a couple of $100, a few $1,000, you know, tens of thousands? What kind of price range should we be looking at?
Yes, tens of thousands, and the paycheck should be made out to Scotty. No. No, so for a home this size in our location, 9 foot ceilings are going to run you about $11,000. Now, a similar sized home, or at least square footage. So I just had a customer, we were designing the Liberty this morning, doing some really cool stuff to that. And they were looking at 9 foot ceilings. Now the Liberty is actually more square footage than this home, but since the lower floor is only 1,800 square feet, their 9 foot ceiling is only like 8,600. So it's going to vary greatly from plan to plan, but think of it this way: the smaller the footprint, the less square footage that you're actually raising up 9 feet, the lower the cost. The larger the square footage, or more spread out the plan is, raising it up another foot is going to be more expensive. Kind of common sense, but so you're looking anywhere from $7,000 up to about $14,000 as far as the range of our plans go.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty. Hey, I would also like to point out to the group that Scotty also takes small unmarked bills in addition to checks made out. That was hilarious. Victoria has a question for us. Is there a possibility of eliminating lighting to pick my own later on? So can she add her own lighting and just delete, you know, all the lighting in the house and just do her own later on?
So yeah, yes and no. That's one of those yes and no questions. So adding your own lighting, if you just mean the fixture, say the thing that's hanging from the ceiling, absolutely. If you're talking about adding your own wiring and placing your own can lights later on, that's really problematic because you're tearing into drywall. So I'm going to guess you're asking, can you do your own light fixtures and pendant lighting and things like that? The easy answer is yes, you can. We just have to talk about how that's going to work and what it is you actually want to accomplish.
Right. There is a minimum number. There's a minimum amount of lighting that we need to get the certificate of occupancy in a home. So we have to have some lighting in there. But we can make it easy to do swap outs later on. In some cases, just rough in for your outlet, for your lighting fixtures individually. But great question. Great question. Jen has a question for us. Do you have plants that work well for sloped lots? And if so, which ones are the best?
So yeah, that's a great question. So slope lots, any home can be customized to a slope lot. Now there's a degree of slope where you're just going to have a taller crawl space. No big deal. What we call some steps in the foundation so that your house, the main level stays flat, of course, but your foundation is going to follow the slope of the land. Now, sometimes it's more advantageous to add a daylight basement in that case. So that's where we really need to do a site visit and figure out what's your slope, how's it going to work. In the case that maybe it's best for a daylight basement, but you really don't need a daylight basement, we can still just do a taller crawl space as well. So any plan can work, is the easy answer, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, and I have we have actually in other projects have developed basement plans for every floor plan in our system. So you know, kind of it made it easier for us to work from that to design basements for homes, to kind of do some of the pre-work ahead of time. Anything we, you know, our jobs to reduce costs as much as possible. So doing a little bit of investment in time allowed us to design basements for all the homes.
Yeah, and
Sharon, go ahead.
And I just want to add to that too. There are slopes that are too steep for Adair to build on as well. So that's, again, part of that site visit phase that's important. Just always remember, flatter is your friend, but don't be scared of a slope. Most of the times we can work with them.
Okay. Sharon has more of an industry related question, but it's a really good one.
Okay,
so,
awesome.
So how much is price increasing due to COVID and the slowdown in materials available?
Okay, well, so COVID unintentionally set off a housing building boom because people suddenly realized they didn't have to live inside the city and have a commute within an hour or so to work at the job they were at. So this telecommuting really freed people up to, hey, where do I really want to live? And also, I think some of the fear installed in COVID, what I've seen anyway, has brought a lot of families together. I've had families that someone was in California, somebody was in Washington, and somebody already had land in Idaho, and everybody's coming together to live in Idaho because they just feel better together. So it set off this unintentional boom. So the price increases isn't so much from COVID, but from the boom associated from COVID. And so, especially in our area, Northern Idaho has been discovered. Everybody wants to live up here, and I don't blame you, it is gorgeous. And so there's just a lot of demand for building materials and labor. And as we all know from economics, the more demand, the less supply, the higher the price goes up. And we're really doing our best to keep that in check. But when our lumber supplier raises the price by $4,000 on a home, you know, we have to coincide with that. So that's kind of what's happening right now. We're hoping things slow down a little bit, at least get down to a dull roar, so that we can stop this price increase. Because believe me, we don't like it any more than you do. We're just doing it because it's been necessary.
Awesome. Thank you, Scotty. And you know what, it's kind of fascinating how that unintended consequences or consequence of a building boom has not slowed down. If anything, it seems like it keeps getting bigger, you know, so, but you know, that's great for us. So we appreciate it. Jim has a question. Do the builders typically bill the cost of site prep into their costs, or is that a separate expense covered by the homeowner?
Great question. So every builder is different in that. So with Adair's methodology, that base price you see online is foundation to finish. It does not include water, sewer, power, and excavation, and here's why. Jim, you may want to build on 10 acres that needs a well and a septic system, whereas George might want to build on a city lot that has city water and city sewer. These are two completely different animals that we're working with. So it's very difficult for us to put into our base pricing those costs. A well is a lot different than city water. City water in Seattle is way different than city water in Davenport, Washington. So that's why we don't put it into the base price of our home. But the good news is I will work with you, or your HOC will work with you to figure out what those costs are before you're obligated to buy the land or obligated to work with us. You and I will figure out all the costs associated with developing your land, and you can put that into your loan. You don't need cash for it. It can absolutely go into your loan. What I always tell my clients, the best thing about a construction loan is anything can go into it. The worst thing about a construction loan is anything can go into it. So, you know, I've seen people put tractors in shops and RV garages. It can get a little out of control, but So yes, we'll work with you to figure out those costs, but in Adair's case, they're not built into the base price of our home.
Yeah, I would. My favorite add-on, by the way, was a backhoe,
Yeah.
and like an old school John Deere backhoe for $30,000, and we added it into the loan. So that was my favorite one. All right, Arlene's got another question for us. Thank you, Arlene. Love the questions. In Washington, can the furnace and hot water heater be placed in the garage? Why is it more difficult to get a tankless water heater? And is it still available, just more difficult? So, Scotty?
Yeah, great question. So water heaters can absolutely go in the garage. That's easy. Tankless water heaters in Washington. So with the latest Washington State Energy Code change, every builder's got to meet a certain amount of credits. And so they made it very cost prohibitive to heat your home or your hot water with natural gas or propane. Tankless water heaters work best on natural gas and propane. You could do an electric one. They're just not it's just not as efficient. They don't work as well. They still do work. So yes, you could do an electric on-demand water heater, but you're asking a lot of your electricity to heat water up that fast. And I think I missed part of the question. Did she say something about furnaces in the garage?
Yeah, can the furnace and hot water heater be placed in the garage?
So furnaces also, with that latest Washington State Energy Code change, furnaces now have to be in a heated space. So they can't be in the garage unless you're going to insulate and heat your garage, is my understanding. I can't even put them up in the attics anymore. They've got to be inside a heated space. Now I can build a furnace enclosure around it so you don't see it as much. And the nice thing about the newest electric furnaces is they are amazingly quiet.
They are. And if you add an enclosure to it, it just makes it even better. So all right, so now I would just want to add to the group that that's for Washington State, in Idaho and Oregon for now until they change their energy code requirements coming up in October. And I don't think Arizona even uses heaters, right? So I'm just kidding, Arizona. Those HVAC systems can be put in the garage. We typically mount them in the ceiling, so that they're completely out of your way. So that's definitely an option. Okay. Alyssa has a question. Can you add a bonus room and bathroom upstairs to any of these plans?
Sure, absolutely. It might make sense to start with a 2-story plan and work from there. It just depends on what it is you want to do and how you want to accomplish it. So again, that's the benefit of sitting down with one of us. But short answer is we can do pretty much anything. We just need to figure out where the stairs are going to go, how are you going to use the space, what does it look like? But yeah.
Yeah, I love that flexibility. Everyone, one of my favorite jokes is that, yeah, there's 40 plans on our website, and we've built a lot of homes, but we've never built any of the homes on our website because people always make changes to it. I can't see anyone out there that's on the call today, but I'm pretty sure that none of you are cookie cutters. So, you're an individual person with your own wants and needs, and our job is to understand that, design, and make it happen. And like on the plan that we're looking at on the screen, the living room is on a standard plan, it's a lot smaller. So where it says living room now, on the standard plan, it's a den, and it's a lot smaller. But this customer wanted something different. You know what? We made it happen. So, all right. So anonymous attendee, I'm going to give you credit that way. So I don't know how else to do it. So does Adair have the resources to help find buildable lots? And if not, where is the best place to go to find lots?
Awesome. So we're not realtors here. So the best place to find, or the best method of finding land, is to hook up with a land specialist, a realtor who understands how to buy land. I'd much prefer that you do not just Google or throw a dartboard at a phone book. Who even has those anymore? But I don't want you just to do the luck of the draw and call some name on a sign that you saw, because not all realtors are created the same. I love my realtors, if any, but some specialize in houses, some specialize in commercial, and some specialize in land. So I have developed relationships with realtors in Washington and in Idaho who are land specialists. And so if you're working with me, for instance, I would connect you with one of those realtors to help you find land. Now, the realtor will do some of the work to help you find and research the land, but also myself and my construction super, we're going to do some work to help you research the land as well before you're obligated to buy it. And this is a little bit long answer, bear with me. When you buy land in Washington or Idaho, again, I don't know Oregon's rules, Washington or Idaho, both states have a monopoly get out of jail free card when you make an offer on land. And what I mean by that is just like building an existing home, there's an inspection contingency. It's called a due diligence period or a feasibility study. That is our opportunity, by our, I mean you and I, to research the land, to make sure it's buildable and buildable within your financial means before you're obligated to buy it. So just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to make an offer on a piece of land. You can get out of the contract just like that and get your earnest money back.
Oh, love that. Love it. And I love that protection too. You know, that happens sometimes where we start working through a project and we find that the property that we want to build on has that alien abduction, whatever you said it was.
Alien
playground.
ground.
Alien burial ground. I got to remember that one. That was much better than my pet cemetery that I like to use. But yeah, but it had some unforeseen disadvantage to it that wasn't disclosed to us, even though it legally should be, you know, and so being able to, you know, have that and we help with that part too, which is another thing I really like. All right, Elena has a question. Is what's the difference between standard and upgraded windows?
So standard windows are vinyl double pane windows that are white. Upgraded windows just become a little bit more energy efficient or really good for high wind areas. Just to add that added measure of soundproofing and weather resistance.
Okay.
John, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I always look at it as two things. One, and the more important one, according to all the window manufacturers, is that performance rating. I mean, windows have an insulating value, but actually a better differentiator is the performance rating of a window. So thermal is just how insulating it is. Performance is like, no matter how well the window insulates, a little bit of air is going to seep in from that window to inside your home. And even brand new windows out of the box are going to have a little bit of you know, air seeping through, and that's called, and how well it does at blocking that airflow is the performance, you know, rating of a window. And all our, you know, all our windows from JELD-WEN, you know, have a good thermal value. It's part of energy code requirements in every state. And then based on the area that you're in, some of our standard windows will have a higher performance value too to meet the building requirements for that area. So it's yeah, that might have been too much information on this one, so I apologize. So we're right at 1 o'clock and kind of out of time. I'm gonna jump in and maybe quick answer a couple questions. Jen asked, can you prep for to add solar later on? Absolutely. We just need to know, like, are you going to do rooftop solar? Are you going to do terrestrial, like ground-based solar? Where's it going to come in? Just need to plan ahead of time. You know, it's something that we've done, you know, in a fair amount. You know, we've done enough that we know what we're doing. Just reach out to us and we'll talk about that. Victoria and Elena or Victoria had a question about cost of additional upgrades. You know, yeah, there's always a cost to an upgrade or change. You know, when we do any change to a home, there's kind of three factors that we take into account for the pricing of that change. Is the cost of added materials, the credit for any deleted materials, and if there's any drafting or engineering fees associated with those changes. So I think that answers that question for you, Victoria. And the last one, Elena, my area in Washington gets 40 to 60 mile per hour winds almost every month. And the city requires me to get upgraded windows to protect against winds. I would guarantee you that the city would, at that point, I would be amazed if they didn't require that. We run into that a few areas, and we, you know, it's something that's pretty standard for us. In some areas, it's just automatically included in the home because everywhere in that build area requires it. So I hope that answers that question for you. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Scotty, thank you for answering all of those questions and taking us through the video and sharing this experience with you. And you know, as always, I appreciate you. And for everyone joining the call, I hope you have a great and wonderful day.
Bye.